Woke Supremacy
And that is
News.
some off-camera remarks made by President Biden. This has been widely reported that he suggested semi-fascism drives some Trump-backing Republicans. Here's some reaction to that from both sides.
Horribly insulting. I mean, the fact that the president would go out and just insult half of America, because effectively half America votes Republican, half of America ultimately votes Democrat. You know, it swings a little bit one way or the other. But effectively call half of America semi-fascist because he's trying to stir up controversy. He's trying to stir up this anti-Republican sentiment right before the election. It's horribly inappropriate. It's insulting, and people should be insulted by it, and he should apologize.
Well, people who say that would be dead wrong. The president works across the aisle all the time and gets criticized for it. We passed an infrastructure bill with bipartisan support. In fact, presidents for decades have talked about passing an infrastructure bill, but he did it with Republican support. He just passed a bill to help our veterans with bipartisan support. He passed a CHIPS bill so that we could build semiconductors in this country and secure American independence and leap towards the future with bipartisan support. So he works with Republicans and Democrats all the time. But here's the difference between the last president and this one. This president focuses on people and their families, not himself.
But the bottom line is, Maria, that the president essentially called millions of Americans semi-fascists, and some are harking back to Hillary Clinton's deplorables moment. Was this a mistake for Joe Biden?
No, because the president actually didn't call millions of Americans semi-fascists. He called the Republicans who are supporting the big lie that Joe Biden did not legitimately win.
A lot of people.
Well, but why is that, Pam? It's because Republican leaders, from Donald Trump on down to many that are in the Congress, many that are in the Senate, many that are on the ballot going into the midterm elections, who, if elected, would be in positions of power over elections and would overturn free and fair elections, that is fascism. So the president is right in calling Republicans who know better, not every Republican, he was very clear in his remarks, common sense Republicans, moderates, Democrats who believe in democracy, who believe that there's a huge threat to our democracy. And by the way, the majority of the American people believe that. In a recent poll, it came out as the #1 issue, threats to our democracy. Those leaders that are in Congress today who do not have a backbone to stand up to the big election lie, yes, they are semi-fascist.
Look, I cannot begin to say how insulting it is that the President of the United States calls half of this country fascists. That is unacceptable. And the fact that more Democrats are not denouncing it is really disturbing to me. I'm old enough to remember when he was sworn in and took the oath of office, he promised this country he would lower the temperature. He promised, take a breath, we'll work together, we'll unite, and we will all work together to make America a more better place to live. He needs to take his own advice. For him to call half of the people that he has sworn to serve fascists, that's really upsetting.
That's not what he did, and
Does
he
it
actually
undermine
is
his
serving
message,
the American
though,
people.
of unity? You know, calling, because that is, it is true that when that was his big message coming into office. I'm going to lower the temperature and bring everyone together.
He actually has brought people together. A lot of the legislation, and by the way, a record amount of legislation, and I don't know how many Congresses Democrats have passed, and yes, a lot of it has been with bipartisan support. So he has been able to reach across the aisle to make things happen for the American people. Look, moving forward, I don't think you'll hear him repeat semi-fascist, but you will hear him repeat, which is his point, MAGA supporting Republicans, leaders, people who are elected. They should not be giving breath to a big lie that Joe Biden was not legitimately elected, because that hurts the country. They should not be supporting candidates who believe that they want to overturn and should overturn free and fair elections, who don't believe that everyone should have the right to vote, who don't believe that women should have control over their own bodies. There are so many issues there, Pam. The president is right on in delineating those differences and in making the huge contrast between the parties going into the midterm elections.
He made a huge mistake by calling half the country fascists.
It
not only emboldened Republicans who were frustrated with being called a basket of deplorables, it also caused a lot of independents to question, where's this unity he's talking about? He's certainly not demonstrating that as he's leading this country.